Hey, what's up, everybody? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How you guys doing? We got another live today, man. We got another live today. This is totally unplanned, totally unplanned. So I'm gonna just give you guys a few minutes to come in here because we got a bombshell that just dropped right now that I definitely want to get into because this is some pretty serious news coming out of coming from a very reputable source. So I'm gonna just wait for everybody to get on in this live, and then we definitely gonna get into it. So I'm gonna just give you guys a few minutes, let everybody catch up to the live. What's good? Also, while you guys are coming in, make sure you follow us on Instagram because I see a lot of you guys also send us a lot of messages and video requests and all of this stuff. So make sure you guys follow us on Instagram. I'm gonna pin that right here and pin it to the top of the chat so you guys can follow us there. It's been a long day, man, just producing content. Make sure y'all check in as well. Make sure y'all check in. Alex was good. Cedric Joshua Brown, what was good? Welcome in, checking in from Phoenix. I see you. Marcus, I see you coming in. What's good? Sean, Kyles was good. Greeting from San Francisco. That's Vincent. Welcome in. Malachi was good. Ryan, how you doing? Mind of the North Star, welcome in. Appreciate that. John J. Doe, welcome into our first live. Professor Johnny was good. How you doing? Jason Young, Cadillac Gaddafi. What it do? Hey, Cadillac, how you doing, man? Welcome in. So let's give it about another 30 seconds and we're going to get into this article here because this thing just never stops giving. So I appreciate that, Cedric. This news, if we didn't cover it right now, trust me, Undisputed and all the big channels are going to be all over it. And I'm sure right now some of these guys are like, damn, why can't we cover this story right now? So we want to get ahead of it. Make sure you guys go ahead and hit the likes. Let's give it about another 10 or 15 seconds and we get it started. Matthew was good. Welcome in. Make sure you guys also follow us on Instagram. We pinned it to the top, so make sure you go ahead and do that. While we get into this live, Sean Raycard, the Lakers better trade LeBron. Yeah, I'm going to get into this article because, quite frankly, it totally surprised me. Welcome in from the Ivory Coast. Let's give it about 5 more seconds and we're going to get it going. Scar was good. Rick LP, welcome in. Now, I don't know what LeBron did, but I'm just going to get into the article. So anyway, let me get into this live right now so I don't take up too much of your time because I'm sure you guys are busy, probably on your way home or want to watch basketball or got something else better to do. So let me just get into this live right here. Welcome in, Fly Guy. All right, so let's get into it. So there's some big news coming out of LA again, some very big news. Some people, and I can understand, have been complaining, why are you guys talking about the Lakers and all of this stuff? And as you guys have seen, we've been covering the NBA, doing lives about different games and all of these different things. But nevertheless, the Lakers are still a big deal, and this is a pretty big story. And if you don't believe me, the major news networks are going to pick up on it tomorrow. So it's not like as if I'm going to be talking about something that nobody else is going to talk about. This is a pretty big story. Now, it was originally reported. Let me get into the live. It was originally reported. Make sure you guys hit the likes on your way in. Appreciate that. When the Lakers were making their offseason moves last season, originally, the player we thought they were going to get was either going to be Buddy Hield from the Sacramento Kings or DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan was the name that was circling around. That was the guy a lot of us thought that the Lakers were going to go after, if you guys remember properly. Then out of nowhere, we got the news that the Lakers could possibly be acquiring Russell Westbrook. And when we heard that news, it pretty much that news confused a lot of people in the NBA world and sports fans. We were like, why would the Lakers want to trade for Russell Westbrook? Even Shannon Sharp, who is the biggest LeBron James, one of the biggest LeBron James supporters out there, who believes LeBron can do anything if he's given the right talent and all of these different things. Even he questioned how LeBron would be able to pull it off and actually have a successful campaign with Russell Westbrook. So everyone was asking questions about it. We all thought it was going to be a bad move. Why? Because Russell Westbrook's skill set and playing style doesn't fit that of LeBron. Russell Westbrook is a ball-dominant point guard that is not very efficient at spacing the floor. LeBron, as y'all know, is the guy that usually runs the offense. LeBron is at his best when he's playing with shooters and veterans. That's the formula for his success. So if Russell Westbrook was going to be the point guard, it means that LeBron was going to move off the ball. And from that standpoint, is going to bring into Russell Westbrook's decision-making abilities, which we all saw this season was a total disaster. So this is nothing new. This is nothing new. For the new people coming in, we're talking about a possible fallout between LeBron James and the Lakers. This is a pretty big news. This is a big news. So y'all make sure y'all stick around for this one because we got a lot that we want to talk about. Again, if you guys have any questions, I'm going to be answering them as we go through the live. I'm just going to do my best to really unpack this for you guys. So just hang tight. So the Lakers started the season. What happened? They start the season. The preseason, they lost all the games that they played in the preseason. And I'm not one of these people that likes to make a big deal about the preseason, but they lost all of their games. They start the season, I think the Lakers of the first 20 games of the season when it started, I think about 14 or 15 of those games were at home. They started off with a very light schedule. And what happened? They ended up going 10-10 in the first 20 games. And from that point forward, we knew it was going to be a disaster. And ultimately, that's what happened. It turned out to be a total disaster. So what happened today? How do we get to this point? Let me get to this breaking news right now. Today, I saw a segment on Undisputed. In that segment, they were talking about Russell Westbrook deleting all of his pictures on his Instagram. Now, I don't follow Russell Westbrook, so I don't know. I just checked on his Instagram, and Russell Westbrook, if I'm not mistaken, has 19.4 million followers. 19.4 million followers on on Instagram. And I checked, and this dude deleted all of his pictures. And Shannon Sharp and them were talking about it today, and they said, wait a minute, this could be a sign that, Russell Westbrook wants to start anew. He wants to go somewhere new and all of these different things. So that's what he said, right? But this was just the beginning. I'm actually letting people know on Instagram right now. So you guys, if you guys are following this live, you're actually going to see me do this live, post this live. So that's what happened. Then I get an article coming out from CBSSports.com. Let me quickly just post it here. Maybe some of you guys stick around for this, but you can go read it towards the end of this live. And basically, this article, let me start off and read for you guys. It starts off with the headline: Lakers front office internally blaming Clutch Sports LeBron James for Russell Westbrook trade, per report. It continues on. The Los Angeles Lakers entered the 2021-2022 NBA season as the Western Conference favorites and left it before the postseason even began. And as such, everyone is looking for a scapegoat to blame for their failure. Head coach Frank Vogel, 2 years removed from winning a championship, was the first major team figure to go. Reports of his firing came mere seconds after the season ended. Now with Vogel gone, those who remain are squabbling over where to assign the blame for the Russell Westbrook trade. Let me continue. As Bleacher Report's Eric Pincus reports, multiple sources claim that the Lakers front office is internally blaming pressure from Clutch Sports, the agency that represents LeBron James and Anthony Davis, for the acquisition of Russell Westbrook. With this being the case, the two most important things must be noted. While star players can exert pressure on the front offices, they cannot actually make trades. The decision to trade Russell Westbrook ultimately had to be made by the Lakers front office. And then the article basically continues on. So basically, let me get back to you guys here, and you guys can go read it. Basically, and I see some people talking about Marcellus Wiley. I'm going to get to Marcellus Wiley in a minute, my guy, but I got to get on him. So if you guys want to hear me get on Marcellus Wiley dropping his top 10 today, just stick around towards the end of this live because I'm definitely going to get on him. And we actually posted something about that on Twitter. So let me actually give you guys my Twitter handle because a lot of people don't know I'm on Twitter or they don't know where to find me. So let me just name so y'all can check me out on Twitter. So let me just post that right there. So if y'all want to follow me on Twitter and see me talking my trash during games and all of that, make sure you guys follow me on Twitter. It's there. Anyway, so let me get back to this article. This is big news. Why is this big news? It is big news because of the reputation of LeBron James and clutch sports. So let me say this: I'm not here to bash LeBron because I'm too damn tired. I don't have the energy to be bashing LeBron right now. I'm just going to talk about LeBron from a historical standpoint. I'm not here to bash him. That is not my goal at all. But there's this kind of reputation about LeBron and clutch sports. And what's the reputation? Usually, when they go to a team, they usually try to infiltrate the team, take over the entire ship, and start to try and basically try to influence the team in terms of their decision making, in terms of bringing in players and all of these different things. That's what initially happened with the Miami Heat. But Pat Riley basically said, y'all are not going to run this ship. And LeBron, I guess, and his team said, okay, it can't work out here. So they had to leave. They left Miami. Then they went to Cleveland. Y'all heard what happened in Cleveland. Basically, LeBron James and his guys were pretty much running the ship. And now we have the same thing in LA. So the question is this: are we witnessing a possible fallout between LeBron James and the Lakers? This is the question we have to ask ourselves, because we all know going into this offseason, the Lakers have to do something. They cannot stay the way that they are and expect a different result. They cannot stay that way. The same thing with the Brooklyn Nets. They cannot stay the same way and come into next season hoping for a different result. So the question is this: what are they going to do? Are they going to move Russell Westbrook? Is it a coincidence that out of nowhere today or yesterday, Russell Westbrook decides to delete all of his pictures on his Instagram? Is that a coincidence? Y'all tell me. Do y'all think it's a coincidence? Then today, this evening, this news drops via CBS Sports. This is not like as if it's one of these rinky-dinky websites that have no reputation, or I just saw it on Instagram, some random person posted this. This is CBS Sports. They're the ones that posted this article, and they're the ones coming out saying that there's a possible fallout. So this is my first question. If this is true, where did they get that information from? Who's leaking that information? Now, we all know initially when the Lakers decided to fire Frank Vogel, a few seconds before he was fired, Adrian Wojnarowski released the information that Frank Vogel was going to be fired. And a lot of people got pissed off with the Lakers organization, calling them classless for doing what they did. But basically what they were saying is Woj doesn't get that information if it wasn't volunteered to him. So this particular information talking about their internal struggles between the Lakers and Clutch Sports and LeBron, is that information being released by Clutch Sports, or is it being done by the Lakers? Are the Lakers trying to get ahead of this thing and try to paint themselves as a victim, or is it Clutch Sports basically trying to cover for themselves? This is what's going to start. This is where this conversation is going to go. You better believe it. That's where it's going to start. And trust me, if in fact there's going to be a fallout between LeBron James and Clutch Sports and the Lakers, it is going to be ugly. It is not going to be pretty. You better bet your bottom dollar. Somebody says, Woj speaks for teams, Sham speaks for players. Okay, then according to that, I don't know if that's valid, but according to what he's saying, then most likely it was the Lakers. And I can understand anything about Sham because Sham usually does speak to teams. But if that's the case, and for the people coming in, thank you guys for being a part of this live. We really appreciate it. For the new people coming in, we're talking about a possible bombshell that just came out regarding a possible fallout between the Lakers and LeBron James. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about and you're just coming into this live, I'm going to post that article right now so you guys can check it out after this live is there. So make sure you guys do that. So that's there. But anyway, stick around for this one because I still got a lot that I want to talk about. So that's the first question. Secondly, what's going to happen with Russell Westbrook? Y'all already know that if the Lakers want to have any shot at being successful next season, they need to find a way to make a trade. They have three options. You can either trade Russell Westbrook. I think he has 1 year left on his contract, so they can either trade him for other pieces. I think he has 1 year left on his contract. You can either move Anthony Davis, you can still trade him, or you can trade LeBron. Those are the three big pieces they can move. Now, who will they get the most value for? Well, obviously, it's going to be Anthony Davis because he's the youngest of the trios. LeBron James is going to be 38 years old next season. 38 years old. LeBron is probably going to retire in the next 2 or 3 seasons. 3 seasons max. I think he's going to get the scoring a title of all time, and he's going to retire. So if you're trading for LeBron, some teams are going to be a little bit leery, like, okay, we're only going to get this guy for 1 or 2 seasons. And some teams will say, well, at least you can get him to pass Kareem in your jersey, but I don't think that really matters. So who's left? Anthony Davis or Russell Westbrook. So what's going to happen with Westbrook? Personally, I think Russell Westbrook is going to leave the Lakers, and I think he's going to request a trade. I think Russell Westbrook does not want to be a part of that team anymore, even though they got rid. He can say whatever he wants to say. But trust me, the reason the Lakers failed last season is not because of Frank Vogel. It is because they were not a good defensive team. It's not like as if we're talking about Steve Nash. Steve Nash is a bad coach, and history proves it. We cannot say the same about Frank Vogel. Frank Vogel did have success in Indiana. And 2 years ago, he won a championship. We cannot say any of those things about Steve Nash. Most people are still questioning Steve Nash's coaching acumen. Does he really know what the hell he's doing? Because he's not that experienced. We can't say that about Frank Vogel. So even though the Lakers can get rid of Frank Vogel, have gotten rid of Frank Vogel, I don't think you bring back the same group and all of a sudden you're going to get a different result. I was listening to Steven Jackson on Speak for Yourself with Marcellus Wiley and Emmanuel Acho, and he was saying that, listen, they need a different coach. And that could be true. But at the end of the day, those guys still have to go out there and play defense. They still have to want it. I think a lot of those Lakers players felt like playing defense was just beneath them. So that's the first thing. What's going to happen with Russell Westbrook? Second thing I want to talk about. Thank you guys for being a part of this live. I got a lot that I want to talk about. Thank you guys for being a part of this. Make sure you guys go ahead and hit the like button. Let me get into this second part. As y'all know, today we released 2 videos. And those videos were centered on leadership or the lack thereof. Isaiah Thomas was talking about, because they were asking him about the Nets and all these things, and he was talking about teams that have a very strong culture and great leadership, in them, that were able to weather all of the ups and downs of an NBA season. He spoke about the Toronto Raptors. He spoke about the Miami Heat, who had 9 undrafted players on their roster. And he was talking about these teams that were able to kind of weather their way through the storm, right? He was talking about the importance of leadership. And you can see how teams that have great leaders and smart people are doing. Usually, those teams are the ones that are doing the best. Now, I think it's just ironic that just today, we produced 2 videos that were centered on leadership. And it was really for you guys because we wanted to produce something interesting for you guys. We produced 2 videos. Then this evening, we're hearing this story with the Lakers. Then for the last 48 hours, we've been talking about the Nets. Let me ask you guys a question. What do you think? What is the common denominator between the Brooklyn Nets and the Lakers this season? What do y'all think the common denominator is? If you ask me, both of those teams grossly underperformed. The Lakers didn't even make it into the play-in. That's number one. And the Brooklyn Nets, hey, what's up? Welcome in. And the Brooklyn Nets got swept in round 1. What's the common denominator? Both of those teams have 0 leadership structure. If you think about the Lakers, what has been the talk about the Lakers this entire season? Who's the one leading the Lakers? Is it Jeannie Buss? Is it Kurt Rambis? Is it LeBron James? Is it Frank Vogel? Is it Clutch Sports? Is it Rob Pelinka? The major question we've been asking about the Lakers all season long is, who is the leader? That's the first commonality between those 2 teams. Same thing with the Brooklyn Nets. Who is the leader? Is it the GM? Is it Steve Nash? Is it Kyrie Irving? Because Kyrie Irving was the one that said they don't need a coach. Is it Kevin Durant? Or is it Kyrie leading Kevin? No one knows who the leader is with the Brooklyn Nets. So you see 2 issues right there. What's the second one? What's the second thing that these two teams have in common? The second thing these two teams have in common are delusional basketball players that are still in denial. At the end of the Lakers season, when they were talking to the players in the exit interviews, they were basically trying to get a sense of what the players thought in terms of why they think their teams failed. What did they say? Let me talk about the 3-star players of the Lakers. Anthony Davis said the reason that the Lakers failed was because of injuries, forgetting the simple fact that, hey, Anthony Davis, AD, other teams also had to deal with injuries. The team right across the hallway didn't have Kawhi for the whole season. Paul George only played probably a third of the season or quarter of the season. So they made it into playing. So how can it be that with you, it's about injuries, or with them, they had the same injuries, but they did better. So it can't be about injuries. They asked LeBron, do you think this season was a failure? He said, no, I don't think it was a failure. I don't see why it was a failure. Meanwhile, going into this season, the Lakers were picked as the team to represent the Western Conference. They were picked as one of the top 3 teams to win it all with the Nets and the Bucks. That's what LeBron said. And what did Russell Westbrook say? Russell Westbrook, we did a video about it. He was there talking about some to me, a successful season. He described his last year in Washington after being bounced in the first round. But to him, as long as he averaged a triple-double, that was a successful season. So according to Russell Westbrook, the major failure this season is probably that he didn't put up good numbers, not the fact that the team didn't even make it to the play-in. Then you go to the Nets. They asked Kevin Durant, was this season a failure? He said he doesn't consider it a failure. You talk to Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving is talking about how him and KD are going to manage the team. Both teams have zero leadership, and both team star players are totally delusional. The two of them. That's the commonality. The two of them are totally lost. And this is one of my biggest reasons why I think the Lakers are not going to do well, because they still seem to be in denial. How can you fix a problem that you don't believe exists? How y'all going to do that? And now we're getting this report. Let me read some of your comments. Welcome in. And by the way, for those of you guys that also want to follow us on on Twitter, make sure you follow us on Twitter here. I definitely am starting to get on Twitter. And also make sure you follow us on on our Instagram. We pinned that to the top. Let me go through some of your comments right here. I'm also going to be getting to Marcellus Wiley. So if y'all want to hear me get on that, I'm not going to diss him. I'm going to just give you guys my thoughts. Make sure you stick around for this one. Let me read some of your comments here. Yes, it's a failure because you're out of the play. Okay, I think some people are responding to that and forth. Bron's on top 15. Trade him. Okay, some people are saying Dreamers Pro, Genie Bus, and Rob needs to trade away the big 3. It's time to move on. I think I would agree, man. It didn't work. Like, it just didn't work. And these guys are going to be a year older. LeBron is going to be 38. Russell Westbrook, I believe, is going to be 34, 35, or 34. Anthony Davis is 29 going on 65. Nobody knows what's wrong with Anthony Davis. Nobody knows. So I can understand. Braun let Iguodala okay, AD's not even top 100. Braun is barely top 15. Okay. Are you watching the Bucks game? Apparently I can't right now. I'm still doing this right here. Okay, let me see so those are my thoughts on it. Can someone tell me, don't waste my time on clickbait? All right, okay, whatever. Anyway, so let me see what else. AD stay injured. Yeah, AD say, okay, so let me get to the next part. So I was there minding my business. And one of our viewers, contacted me on Instagram. Guy's name, I don't want to go through my phone right now. And he said, did you hear what Marcellus Wiley had to say about Kobe? I said, no, I didn't hear what he said. Now, what do I know about Marcellus Wiley? He's a very smart guy, but I think a lot of times, Marcellus Wiley, if you're watching this, man, you be picking the wrong arguments. Like, the answer be right there, and Marcellus Wiley be like, you know what? I'm going to just go ahead and argue this. I just want to be a contrarian. So today, Emmanuel Acho gave his top 10. I think he had LeBron number 1, Michael Jordan number 2. I think he had Bill Russell number 5, Kobe number 7, Tim Duncan, I believe, was number 6 or so, if I'm not mistaken, whatever. Then they get to Marcellus Wiley's list. And I think Marcellus Wiley had LeBron as number 1. I think he had Jordan as number 2, Kareem as number 3. I forgot some other people. We go through his list, and at the end of his list, think about this. He has, they were arguing of whether or not Kevin Durant is a top 10 player. He has Kevin Durant at number 9, and he got Kobe Bryant at number 10. What the hell am I supposed to? What am I supposed to do with that? What am I supposed to do with that? Kevin Durant, I guarantee you, if you contact Kevin Durant right now and ask him, Kevin Durant, are you better than Kobe? Kevin Durant will say, nah, bro, I'm not better than Kobe. He was there literally trying to make an argument as to why Kate, I don't know what was worse. Was he saying, was he saying that KD's a top 10 player? It's either him saying KD was a top 10 player or KD's better than LeBron. I don't know which one was worse. I don't know which one. Kevin Durant is a top 10 player. Kevin Durant is a top 10 player. Kevin Durant is a top 10. Kevin Durant is a top 10 player. Kevin Durant is better than Kobe. You see, Marcellus Wiley, you're a very smart guy. But like Emmanuel Acho said, we lost a few brain cells on the way listening to that one, man. There's no argument to say that Kevin Durant is a top 10 player. How can Kevin Durant be a top 10 player, especially after what we just witnessed? There are people talking about whether or not Jason Tatum is better than Kevin Durant, and somehow Kevin Durant is a top 10 player. We're going to compare Kobe Bryant beating the Boston Celtics with Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, Rajon Rondo, Kendrick Perkins, what's the other guy? Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, versus KD playing with Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, being head coach Steve Kerr, I think Andre Iguodala, and beating LeBron. Like, are we talking about driving the bus? Are we being serious, right? Kevin Durant is a top 15, top 20 player. He's in the same group with Stephen Curry, Kawhi Leonard, and all of these guys. Last time I checked, and I got a tremendous amount of respect for Kevin Durant. He is a fantastic player. He is somebody that plays basketball for the right reasons, unlike Ben Simmons. Okay, Kevin Durant truly loves playing basketball. He truly loves it, right? So I'm not going to get on him for that. But for you to say that Kevin Durant is better than Kobe is one of the most ridiculous things you've ever said, my brother. I got to tell you. I got to tell you. So those are my thoughts on that. Let me get back to this Lakers thing before I wrap it up. Listen, I think this thing is bad. I think if the major news outlets pick this up tomorrow, I think it's going to be a major story. I think it's going to be a major story. KD not above Kobe Bryant. Yeah, I think he was just bugging with that one. I think, appreciate that. I think if they pick up this story, I think it's going to make for some serious fireworks. Some people are talking about why don't we just cover the league, cover the playoffs? If this story, grows some legs, this is going to be the biggest story for the next few days. It's going to be the biggest story for the next few days because I think this thing could potentially end terribly. And this is what I think is going to happen. I think you're going to see a fracture between Laker Nation. I think what's going to happen is if the Lakers and LeBron James and his camp start fighting with one another, what you're going to see is Laker fans versus LeBron fans. That's what's going to happen. Because there's a faction of Laker fans that were not happy when LeBron joined the Lakers. Not because they didn't think he was a great player. Not because they didn't think he was a great player. But because they felt as if he was going to come with a lot of drama. You saw at the end of this season, a lot of people were saying that Lakers, that season that they had was the worst season in the history of the franchise. Trust me, Jeannie Buss, all of these guys, they've been hearing it. You heard Magic Johnson telling Anthony Davis, stop making excuses. Nobody wants to hear that. Trust me, this thing could get ugly. Where's the story? What's the story? Okay, I'm going to post it again. It's on CBS Sports. I'm going to post it again for the third time for the people that are coming in. It was recently reported by CBS Sports. For those guys coming in, I'm going to pin it to the top. Let me see if I can pin it to the top. 1 second. Let me see if I can pin it to the top for the people asking. Okay, so that's the report from CBSSports.com. They reported Lakers front office internally blaming Clutch Sports LeBron James for the Russell Westbrook trade. There it is. I'm not sitting here making this up. I'm not bored. Some people think I'm doing this for clickbait. Really, do I look that bored to you to be just coming up here doing that for clickbait? Did you miss it? Google is a great source. Pay no rent, buddy. Pay your rent. Pay your rent. Pay my rent. What? All right, y'all in the comment section. Maybe y'all can help me. I don't know what he means by pay your rent. What is that? Okay, Charles, in your opinion, what will it take for the Clippers to finally win it all? I think number one, they need to be healthy. If the Clippers can remain healthy, for God's sakes, I think they got a shot. If they're not going to be healthy, then I think it's also going to take some luck, because you're going to need luck. But I think we got to start off with health. Are they going to be healthy? That's the first thing. Somebody left a comment. LeBron tried to be GM this year, and it was an epic fail. A lot of people are beginning to go back to Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. I think the former owner of the team, I think it's with Jerry Krause, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's Jerry. No, not Jerry Krause. Y'all remind me, who's the owner? Who's the owner of the Chicago Bulls? What's his name? Remind me in the comment section the name of the owner of the Chicago Bulls. His name is oh my God. I can't remember his name. Anyway, the owner, Jerry Reinsdorf. Thank you so much, Jerry Reinsdorf. Thank you for that, Jazzy G. Thank you for that. Reinsdorf was one of these owners that was like, listen, you guys are the players, we're the executives, we're the management. You do your job, we'll do our job. If you watch the Last Dance documentary, Michael Jordan said that he felt that the players ultimately had the biggest impact on winning. That was Jordan's stance. But management felt totally different. I appreciate that, Ryan Newsom. But management felt totally different about it. Now, one could say, and one could make an argument, that the management of the Chicago Bulls actually got it right because of the results. It's hard to argue with them when they have the results. I think what's happening right now is we have too many players playing GM. Too many. And as Skip Bayless says, although Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time, he is one of the worst team GMs in the history of the NBA. Just because you're a great player doesn't mean you're going to be a great GM. Let me read this comment. Are you going to start holding KD to the same standard? I think that's what I've been doing. I will get that boot. All right. That's an interesting name, man. I think I've been doing that, right? So this is what we're beginning to see. It doesn't mean just because you're the best player means you're going to be a great GM. I think the Lakers right now are in a fight for their brand. I think the Lakers are trying to redeem their brand. When they won the championship, the Lakers were at their zenith. But right now, the Lakers have been getting a lot of bad press, and I think it's something that they want to fix. I think this is why this is coming out. Let me read this comment here. Appreciate that. Are the Clippers organization mad at Kawhi? I've been hearing some reports about this, that they possibly are mad at Kawhi. But then today, because I follow them on Instagram, I saw them post a picture of Kawhi Leonard working out, and they said work never stops. If I'm not mistaken, the Clippers just posted that today. Let me check it out right here. Clippers, I think they just posted that. Let me see that right here. Yeah, they just posted it. They just posted it on, okay, I don't know if you guys can see it. That's Kawhi Leonard. So maybe they are, maybe they're not. I don't know, right? Who knows? I guess we'll finally see. Ultimately, I don't think the Clippers are going to force Kawhi and be mad at him for not playing, because they know the type of play that they got. Like, Kawhi Leonard is not one of these guys. Well, I'm not necessarily sure that's true, because when they were in the Western Conference Finals facing the Golden State Warriors, if y'all remember, when Zaza Pachulia cheap shot at him, basically, stuck his foot under his feet. Kawhi actually fell on his ankles one time before that, and he kept on playing, if y'all remember. Then he did it to him a second time. That's when he went out. So I'm not sure Kawhi Leonard is one of these guys that doesn't tough it up when he's hurt. Even when they were playing against the Milwaukee Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals, there were times when he was going up for dunks and he was coming down and he looked like he was walking and he looked like he was in some pain, but he still kept on playing. So I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe they just wanted to ensure that, listen, I don't know. I don't know. I got an echo. I'm sorry about that. Let me see. I'll take a few more questions. Real Laker fans in LA should boycott games until the phony goat is traded. Kawhi is a beast. He just hasn't been healthy. Yeah, I agree with that. I'll read a few more comments and then I'll let you guys go. Any list that has KD over. Okay. David Joseph, appreciate that. First of all, appreciate your contribution. What till next round of CBA negotiations come back around? Owners are going to trying to take back some of what GM power. No, I absolutely agree. Right? I absolutely agree. I think there's a major dynamic going on. I think Rich Paul, to touch on Rich Paul for a second, I think Rich Paul is an extremely powerful agent, but I think he's also, I don't want to use the word despise, but I think a lot of people target him. Why? Because he has all of this power. He represents the biggest name in the sport, and because of that, he can get a lot of the top athletes to come to his. And maybe that's something that some teams may have issue with, because LeBron James is also known as the player empowerment guy. Once LeBron started making these moves, they really turned it into player empowerment, right? And maybe this is something that a lot of owners are against, right? Giannis Antetokounmpo, to a certain extent, is like the anti-LeBron, to a certain extent. And it's one of the reasons so many people love Giannis. Why? Because Giannis is in a small market and he has no plans of leaving. That's something else to pay attention to. That's one reason a lot of people gravitate towards Giannis. So I think it's going to be very interesting. I think there are a lot of people out there that are not really rooting for Rich Paul and are probably waiting until LeBron James retires to say, okay, how is this guy really going to do when LeBron retires? I think there's something happening in the background that we may not be aware of. And trust me, I wouldn't be surprised with that. Just like y'all saw, there's a big story going on right now in the hip hop world. I'm not going to say who it is, but it's between two major voices in media. Y'all know who they are. I'm not going to say it because not trying to bring that type of energy to this platform because we talk about sports, not trying to get into that. The point I'm making is, as y'all found out, there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that we just don't know. So we don't know. That beef that's going on proves it. For those of you guys who are following it, that beef proves it, because right up until those tapes came out, I'm sure the majority of us never knew it. Now, those that are plugged into the streets, I'm sure you guys knew it. But for regular civilians like us, because that's what I am, I don't want none of that drama. Trust me, I got enough stuff I'm trying to figure out. We didn't know that. We did not know that. So I wouldn't be surprised. Why am I scared? Scared for what? What does that have to do with me? It literally has nothing to do with me. Anyway, do you ever think Masai made a mistake saying no to Kawhi when he absolutely. I think Masai Ujiri made a mistake by letting Kawhi Leonard go for Pascal Siakam. For as bad as Paul George had been in the playoffs, I still think he's a better player than Pascal Siakam. I think if the Raptors had kept Kawhi and got Paul George, I think they'll probably be in a better position. And it probably would, after that momentum, they'd have probably went back and won it again. I could be wrong, but that's just what I think. Do you think the NBA will continue to use underdog teams that knocked out title contenders out of playoffs so far for ratings? That's a good point. Somebody says say the beef. Somebody says y'all know between Hassan Campbell and Whack 100, man, who's not following it? I mean, come on, like I did grow up in New York, like of course I'm following it, like but I mean, who doesn't know that? Let me get back to your question. Yeah, I think it's a good question that you're asking about the NBA covering. I think the NBA right now, for example, with the Memphis Grizzlies, Ja Morant is going to be a star. He's already a star. I think the NBA was banking on Zion Williamson. But I think people in the NBA are starting to realize that Zion may not be a sure thing. Because Zion, for whatever reason, is transfixed on playing in New York. I don't know what it is. As somebody that is from New York, grew up in New York, although I was born in Maryland, but I grew up in New York, went to junior high, all of that in New York. New Yorkers love their basketball. But trust me, if you out there playing like garbage, they're going to let you know it. I remember when Tracy McGrady went to New York, everybody was hyped. Nothing happened. I remember when Steve Francis went to New York, nothing happened. I remember when they had Stephon Marbury and nothing happened. I remember when they had Carmelo Anthony. It was buzzing in NY. I got a friend that I went to high school with. Maybe he sees this live. His name is Cheyenne. I don't remember his last name. He is no. He's a huge Knicks fan. But one of my friends I used to go to high school with, his name is Torian. We used to call him T Live. He was the biggest Carmelo Anthony fan, and I'm sure he was happy. But once again, that died down. New York, Zion Williamson. I don't know if he's from New York. I don't know where he's from. You go to New York. New Yorkers are going to welcome you, but New Yorkers have expectations, bro. New York ain't about it. New York will let you know. They love basketball. But if you don't produce, New York will boo you in a hot minute. You don't need to go too far. Then go listen to your man, Julius Randle. Julius Randle is talking about how he doesn't like that New Yorker, because that's what New Yorkers are going to do. So if you want to go to New York, have at it. But just know that them cats in New York, they're going to be cheering you on. But after 1 year, 2 years, they're like, yo, bro, what's good? Like, are you doing anything? Like, what is really going on right now? So to me, yeah. So that's what I think about that. Yeah, of course I'm following the Nipsey Hussle thing. Who's not, man? Like, who's not? That's like the biggest soap opera right now in hip hop. So really, those are my thoughts, man. I think I've answered everybody's question. Unless you guys have any other questions, let me just read through one or two more comments. Pelinka is messing up the Lakers. Yeah, I just think the Lakers right now are in a total disarray. I think they're in total disarray. I don't know what is going. Okay, Zion is from South Carolina. Okay, maybe that's it. I don't know why. Zion from the Cheesecake. Yo, who said that? He said Zion is from the He said Zion is from the Cheesecake Factory. What? All right, man. I'm not even gonna get into that, man. Y'all not gonna do that to me, man. Let me see. What else did somebody else say? LeBron the turnover go. Nah, man. Y'all not gonna, because what's gonna happen is y'all gonna make me talk, and then they're gonna come up here in the comments and roast me, and you guys are gonna go about your business, and they're gonna be dealing with me in the comments. So I'm gonna leave it at that anyway. I think I pretty much answered everybody's question. Jordan and Isaiah Thomas were pretty bad managers, coach. Yeah. So yeah, I think you make a good point. So anyway, my thoughts about the Lakers is this. I think that it could end ugly. Be on the lookout for this, because I think the major news outlets are going to pick up on it. I think if it goes ugly, I think the Laker fans and LeBron fans is going to be a fracture. And don't be surprised if LeBron does leave. And if he does leave, don't be surprised he goes to a contender. So these are my thoughts on that. Once again, I want to thank everybody for being a part of this live. I'm going to let you guys go back to watch some basketball. Appreciate that. And y'all definitely have a good one, man. God bless. Have a good one. All right. Peace. Oh, hold up. Real quick, before I let you guys go, make sure you follow us again on Twitter, because I see a lot of people are going to be hitting me up on Twitter. So just make sure you do that. And make sure you follow us on Instagram. I'm going to post those two right here. So y'all hit us up there, because we definitely take video requests and answer questions there. So catch y'all on the next one. Be cool, man. God bless. Take it easy.